Hey Arnold, Arnold for President by Craig Bartlett. Chapter 1. The morning bell rang for the start of lessons. Arnold hurried through a hallway packed with kids. He turned a corner and skidded right into Helga. Crash! They both went down, books flying everywhere. Helga was the first to get up. Watch where you're going, football head. Arnold began picking up their books. Sorry, Helga. Helga quickly snatched her geography book from Arnold and turned smartly away. Next time, keep your eyes on the road. Sheesh. Helga stomped down the hall and around the corner, gripping her books and muttering to herself. Arnold. What an odd-headed buffoon. What a dim-witted, dweeby little dim-bulb. How I hate him. And yet... The corridor was empty now. Helga was alone. She blinked twice and looked quickly in all directions. The coast was clear. How I love him. She whipped open her geography book. Nestled inside was a perfectly cut-out oval, handmade Arnold bust. His tact, his subtle yet enormous vocabulary, his amazing attention to detail. I love him, love him, love him. Suddenly, Helga heard wheezy breathing behind her. She closed her book and slowly turned. It was Brainy, the weird kid who always happened to be standing there, right when she had a single moment to herself. Brainy stared at Helga and breathed. Helga socked him and slunk off to class. Helga stomped into the classroom and flopped down at her desk just as the last bell rang. When Phoebe greeted her with a "Good morning, Helga," she turned and gave her best friend a scowl. "What's so good morning about it?" she asked back. In the front of the room, Mr. Simmons yelled to be heard over the noise of kids finding seats. "It's the second week in October. You know what that means? It's time for elections. In 2 weeks, after our candidates have had the chance to campaign and debate the issues, we'll vote for this year's class president." Helga sat up. Now she was awake. She had a secret thought. Year 4 class president. Now that was greatness. It was about time she showed that Rhonda Lloyd who was the real boss of their year. But she'll need some help. In fact, she'll need a lot of help. Mr. Simmons turned to the chalkboard. "Okay, class. The first step is to nominate our candidates. Talk amongst yourselves and decide which students have that special quality that makes you want to nominate them." Helga turned to Phoebe and hissed, low and sincere, "I want the job, Phoebe. You know what to do." Phoebe nodded. "Nominating." She chimed, raising her hand. "Mr. Simmons, I nominate Helga." Mr. Simmons wrote Helga's name on the board. "Great, Helga. Who else?" 3 desks over, Rhonda prodded Nadine. Nadine winked at Rhonda and raised her hand. "Mr. Simmons, I nominate Rhonda." "Wonderful," Mr. Simmons agreed, adding Rhonda's name to the chalkboard. "Rhonda, who else?" Curly raised a hand. "Mr. Simmons, can I nominate myself?" The class laughed. Curly spun around. "What's so funny about that?" he demanded. Mr. Simmons held up a hand for quiet. "Yes, Curly, you certainly can nominate yourself." He gestured to all of them. "Each one of you has special qualities, and I personally look forward to Curly's campaign." Mr. Simmons added Curly to the list. Meanwhile, Gerald was patiently trying to convince his best friend to throw his hat in the ring. "It'll be great, Arnold. And I could be vice president." Arnold was puzzled. "But why do you want to be vice president?" Gerald waved a hand. "'Cause it's easy. The VP is in charge of the safety patrol, honor guard, or something. Freddie did it last year, and he says it's cool. I think we get to go to lots of free lunches. Arnold thought about it. Class president. It sounded like fun. Gerald poked him. Come on, Arnold, let's do it. We can beat these guys. Arnold grinned. Okay, let's do it. Gerald's hand shot up. Mr. Simmons, I nominate Arnold. Chapter 2. At 2 o'clock the next afternoon, each candidate prepared to give their big campaign speech. Arnold was nervous. What if he promised something he couldn't deliver? Rhonda looked over her index cards and thought, I should have cross-referenced these. Helga turned to Phoebe and elbowed her. Let's get 'em, Phoebes. Mr. Simmons stood up. Okay, class. The first candidate to come up to the front of the room and make their speech is... Curly's hand shot up. Mr. Simmons, let me go first. Instead of walking to the front of the classroom, Curly climbed on top of his desk and addressed the room. I demand to be your president. If elected, I will endeavor to get us all new hats and also promise to turn the school into a moose preserve. The class burst out laughing. That's wonderful, Curly, Mr. Simmons said. Now please get down from there. Curly sat down, apparently satisfied. It was always hard to know what was going on behind those opaque glasses of his. Rhonda walked to the front of the classroom and stood at the podium, quite regal in contrast to the previous loony antics. As you all know, I'm Rhonda Wellington Lloyd, she said, and sniffed in Curly's direction. The office of class president has actual responsibilities, and I, for one, intend to take them seriously. Nadine led some polite applause as Rhonda continued. And my campaign promise is to get some decent after-school activities going, like a cotillion. More applause. A cotillion? Wonderful, Sid said, smiling. Then he elbowed Stinky. What's a cotillion? Stinky shrugged and elbowed Gerald. What's a cotillion? I'll tell you later, Gerald said, looking wise. Then he turned to Arnold. What's a cotillion? Stinky turned back to Sid. I reckon Rhonda's going to win. What with her fine upbringing, she just deserves it somehow. But Helga was next. As she relieved Rhonda at the podium, she cracked, Thanks, Princess. We'll have a cotillion as soon as the rest of us plebs figure out what you're talking about. Everyone laughed, but Helga scowled at them. What you laughing at, you bunch of uneducated slobs? Try using a dictionary once in a while for crying out loud. The class recoiled, then laughed again and started to applaud. Helga continued, pounding her podium for emphasis. That's right, I'll lay my cards on the table. I'm Helga G. Pataki. And I'm running for class president. My campaign is simple. You all pretty much do what I say. Anyway, so just vote for me. Come on, you want Curly running things? Everyone glanced at Curly, who let out a short bark. Helga pointed to Rhonda. And Rhonda, Miss Wellington Stinkin' Lloyd. Next thing you know, we'll be drinking tea in the afternoon. Rhonda frowned, angrily turning away. And please don't make the mistake of voting for Arnold, Helga said. Arnold's eyes widened as she continued. I can't imagine a worse idea. I mean, come on. She crossed her eyes, scrunched down, and said in her best doofus Arnold imitation, Arnold, The class president. Let's all be positive and grow wings and fly around the room, 'cause it's raining malted milk balls. Helga straightened up and glared at Arnold. Hey Arnold, life isn't always beautiful. Try being a little more practical. Mr. Simmons had to speak up over the chaos that ensued. Thank you, Helga. That was a very passionate speech, but Arnold hasn't made his speech yet, and we're almost out of time. Arnold? Arnold walked up to the podium and waited for the laughter and cheers to die down. This wasn't going the way he hoped. He turned to Helga with a little smile. Thanks for the introduction, Helga. Arnold turned to the class. I just want to say that I really like the job of class president. I know there are plenty of responsibilities, but it's a job I really want. So, on election day, remember, Arnold for president. As Arnold took his seat amid scattered applause, Helga folded her arms and glanced at the ceiling, annoyed. 7 minutes later, she raced through the front door of her house, dashed upstairs, entered her bedroom, and slammed the door behind her. In the dim light, she crossed the few steps to her closet. She opened the door, swept aside her dresses and coats, and knelt on the floor. Even in near-pitch darkness, her fingers found the electric switch, and click! 100 Christmas lights suddenly twinkled, flooding the closet in a warm, cheery light. Helga gazed lovingly at her Arnold shrine. This one was shrine number 15. Her mom cleaned Helga's room about twice a year and always threw them out, one by one. Rather than actually bring up the embarrassing subject of an Arnold shrine with her mom, Helga simply rebuilt it. This shrine was like the others in that it centered around a semi-realistic bust of Arnold, but woven out of grass, berries, and flowers. The football-shaped head was made out of reeds, and cornflowers were the ears. The hair was straw from her mom's broom. It had taken Helga forever to find just the right shade of yellow. Helga clasped her hands together. Oh, Arnold, how torturous is this secret love. I desire to be class president, but how can I campaign my heart out when I know that you crave the same presidency? The flower-eyed Arnold head stared back at Helga. In Helga's heightened emotional state, the fake Arnold head almost seemed to speak to her. I really like the job of class president. Enough! Helga yelped. She couldn't take it any longer. Helga sank to the floor in despair. But what about me? I'm dying to be class president. Chapter 3. That night, at the Sunset Arms boarding house, Gerald lay on the couch and tossed the ball in the air as Arnold paced back and forth. The debates are tomorrow. We need one really great campaign promise. Gerald tossed the ball up and caught it. How about a 3-month school year? Tear down the cafeteria. Arnold shook his head. I'm serious. How about if we raise the money to build a skateboard ramp? Some other kids I know built one in their school playground. They raised the money with cake sales and stuff. Arnold brightened. Yeah, we can do that. Gerald jumped up, passing the ball to Arnold. We'll make it our campaign platform. Arnold dropped the ball but grinned anyway. Yeah, a skateboard ramp for our school. A similar scene was taking place at the Pataki home. Phoebe paced in front of Helga, who lay in her bed reading a comic book. We could hand out pins with your campaign slogan on them, something that rhymes, like, vote for Helga, she's a swell gal. Helga glanced up from her comic. Better leave the rhyming to me, Phoebe's. Phoebe nodded and turned a page in her little spiral notebook. Have you decided on a campaign platform yet, Helga? Helga nodded, turning a page in her comic book. Tear down the cafeteria. Helga, I'm serious. The debates are tomorrow and you need to be prepared. Helga tossed her comic book aside. It'll be a snap. I'll just listen to what those lame-os have for campaign promises, and then I'll tear their acts down. Chapter 4. The next day, Mr. Simmons was his usual grinning self as he stood at a podium in the front of the room and explained the rules of the great debates to the class. Now, let's begin, Mr. Simmons said. I can hardly wait to hear from each of these special candidates. Rhonda, you're first. Come on up. Rhonda stepped up to the podium and nodded to the smattering of applause from the class. Mr. Simmons read from an index card. Rhonda, our first debate question is, how do you define the job of class president? Rhonda lifted her chin. The job of class president involves holding weekly meetings with the class vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer. But anyone could probably do that. I intend to do more. I'm going to change the look of the classroom, introduce a new color scheme, something less tacky than... She gestured around the October-themed classroom. These hideous Halloween decorations. How about something sunny for a change? Eugene clapped. Gosh, that sounds wonderful. Helga snorted. Mr. Simmons looked down at his index cards. Helga, do you have a rebuttal to Rhonda's statement? Helga rose and stalked to the front of the room amid hoots and cheers, then held up a hand for silence. You want my rebuttal? Rhonda plans to redecorate this dump. I say let her paint her own house purple and leave us out of it. How about some reality for crying out loud? Rhonda reddened as the class hooted. Helga scoffed. Rhonda Lloyd just cares about how things look. She wouldn't know a class president if it bit her. I define the job of class president like this. She poked her chest with her index finger. Me, Helga D. Pataki. The class cheered and applauded. Helga sat down next to Rhonda and gave her a wink. You're going down hard, princess. Oh, yeah? Rhonda hissed. This campaign isn't over yet, Helga. Okay, settle down, Mr. Simmons called out. Our next debate question is for Curly. Curly sprang like a shot from his chair to the podium, gripping it, waiting for his question. Curly, as president, what will you do for this class? Curly shouted to the rafters. For this class? I'm glad you asked. I'll laugh and cry, spell my name out across the sky, and if that won't do, why, I'll free all the animals from the zoo. Curly grinned an insane smile and pumped his arms in the air. The class responded by stomping and laughing. Free the animals! Free the animals! Curly chanted until the door opened and the head teacher, Mr. Warts, stuck his head in. Everything all right, Mr. Simmons? Mr. Simmons gulped as the noise subsided. Yes, Mr. Warts. We're just at a particularly joyous part in learning about the democratic process. Mr. Warts looked around the room. Democratic process, eh? Carry on. He shut the door. Mr. Simmons turned back to Arnold. Arnold, may we have your response to the same question? Arnold blinked. What was the question again? Mr. Simmons smiled. As president, what will you do for this class? Arnold stepped up to the podium, thinking, why do I always follow the ones who just got the biggest laugh? He glanced at Gerald, who who gave him a thumbs up. Then Arnold spoke. Well, I'm all for freeing the animals, but I'll leave that to the zookeepers. Meanwhile, right here, I think we need a skateboard ramp. The kids perked up, listening. So far, so good. Arnold continued. The kids down the road got one built for their playground, and I don't see why we couldn't do the same. They raised the money from cake sales, and we can do that. But why not raise the money by putting on a talent show or a carnival? As the kids yelled their approval, Stinky turned to Sid. I reckon a skateboard ramp's the one thing we need to make our break time pretty near perfect. Sid nodded. That Arnold. Why didn't I think of it? Harold leaned in. Did he say something about a carnival? Gerald gave Arnold a thumbs up from his seat. Arnold grinned at Gerald and gave him a thumbs up right back. To be continued.